No one knew at the beginning that Tercera impacts children differently than adults. Within the first few hours of infection on anyone, a faint but noticeable rash appears, high on the infected person's forehead. After that, nothing happens for more than a year. It's transmittable as soon as the mark appears, or sometimes shortly thereafter. It spread like wildfire in the first few weeks after it surfaced, mostly because no one knew it portended something serious. In year 2, infected people began to have sores on their skin. They started out small, but by the end of the year, the sores weeped and burned, or so they say. In year 3, organs stop working slowly, and at some point during that 3rd year, the marked die, usually from failure to process food. It's a horrible and slow death. Unless you're a kid. Kids get the mark just the same, and they can transmit it too, but none of the 2nd-year symptoms begin until they hit puberty. By the time the world realized prepubescents weren't progressing the same, almost every marked adult was on death's door. Most of the kids in their care died of starvation after the adults passed. It wasn't pretty. A few of the older kids survived, the ones who could forage and fend for themselves. In many cases, starvation delayed the onset of puberty, prolonging their lives before anyone thought to intentionally suppress their development. Eventually, a team of scientists developed a hormone suppressant for the marked kids that prevents the onset of puberty, extending their lives indefinitely. Of course, everything has a price. The goal at the time was to find a cure in a few years so all the kids could go off the suppressant. That part never happened, mostly because all the scientists working on it died. Those who are left, like my aunt, are living in places so afraid of contamination they can't study Tercera properly. The kids on the suppressant formed a marked society that still exists today. They have a few leaders and a handful of laws. They aren't thriving, but they're alive. No one's quite sure how many there are, but judging by the amount of suppressants they take, quite a few.